I've heard of Smul. We're in another league together called the Pro Boxing League. Yeah, I see him fight before. He's actually pretty good. No glove touch.
Who do we got for colors, guys?
Small in the white and black. Dark in the black and white. Dark wearing the black makes sense.
Exact opposite.
Dark is dapper.
Stop! Step back.
All right, an early clinch breaking up the fighters. Bit of a height mismatch, but Dark coming in fierce regardless. And in VR, oftentimes the height mismatch goes in favor of the shorter fighter. They have access to the body in a way that their opponent does not.
Ooh. If I was Smul, I'd work more with uppercuts.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to say, what's your strategy for fighting either shorter or taller fighters?
So when it comes to taller fighters, I like to just counter them, like go more on defense, because typically they can hit harder than you. Plus shorter fighters like to use more distance, and if they're slower, it kind of depends with the shorter fighters or the taller fighters. Like I really don't have exactly one strategy. Depends.
No, it definitely depends on the fighter. For me, I like to tend, when I'm the shorter fighter, I try to go more for the body and then use that to open up the head. If I'm the taller fighter, I usually keep the distance and just start to, hit whatever openings they give me. I actually try to do, even against the shorter fighter, I'll try to still go for the body, right? So just bend down real low and take body shots. And oftentimes the shorter fighters don't expect it, especially against those taller opponents.
Taller opponents sometimes have the advantage. Depends on how they use their height advantage, though. Like if they don't use it very well and they just go right into the inside, shorter fighter probably has them.
Yeah, I think so. This fight, though, so far, I think Dark may have the advantage so far, but gotta give it to his opponent. Doing a good job keeping him back. Ooh, yeah, good shot counted there by Dark.
Yeah, Dark is really going into him, like giving him a really hard time.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing too. He's doing very close to a turtle, right? But he's using the back of his head and the in range of the clinch to make it difficult to land any good shots on him. And whenever he starts to pound down on him, yeah, I saw that. But whenever he starts to pound down, yeah, that's when he tries to throw that overhand hook. Smul, though, doing a good job trying to keep the distance and trying to work the outrange.
Good right hand.
Yeah, he just has to be careful. His head is not safe, even if it's all the way up there. Big shots exchanged at the end of that round. Who do you think? Who would you have ahead in that?
Smul looked like he had more of the power bombs.
No, I think I agree with you, right? It was close. I think it really depends on how those overhand hooks that Dark was landing are going to be counted, and a lot of those little exchange punches that they're having.
Sorry, I'm trying to watch the YouTube chat and Discord chat.
All good, man.
Don't worry about watching. Don't worry about watching the chat.
Multitask.
Tornado, focus mostly on commentating. Since you're commentating, I'm in the chat.
Right.
Check it out.
I like watching the difference in style. Dark kind of in his corner doing a little yoga pose, kneel. His opponent doing a more
good straight right hand and from Dark to start it off. Ooh, good counter by Smul.
Yeah, but Smul, though, rocking the ugly face. I think I saw it from the corner. Dark looking like he's locked in a little bit. Both fighters slugging it out on the logo.
If I was Smul right now, I'd work the jab. And if he comes in, hit him with a big, nasty uppercut.
I agree with you. He is not doing that, though. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Because he's punching in that trajectory, he's just hitting the top of the head, which doesn't really get all that
There's
much
no
damage.
hitbox there.
Yeah, right. Like, if you threw hooks, you could try to hit the temple, or if you threw uppercuts, you could still get the nose.
Nose or even the liver, like anywhere in the body. Depends.
Yeah, at this point, I think Dark isn't even really worried about shots going to the body. Shots rocketing across in that one. I like that they're having this little, like,
right hand.
quick draw stare down, hands touching out, and just exchanging those blazing shots.
Smul looks like he's just giving him the death stare. Yeah, he's trying to find that range. He's looking for those big, long... He's trying to keep him from closing the distance with a straight right, jabs. Pretty good strategy, but with Dark being smaller and having some good head movement, he's getting right past that.
Yeah, I think as you pointed out earlier, right, he's finding the range with power shots instead of finding it with a jab. And it doesn't, I think fighters who don't have as much experience with boxing don't realize the power of the jab. It's not always that it's going to knock someone out. It's that it gives them something to think about and distracts them, and it fuels other shots.
Yeah, it's not all about power, it's more about the technique.
Exactly. You can use it to find distance, find range, do little chip damage here and there. People who are even really good can counter into, full-on knockdowns with it. And you're not committing as much power. And I think that's the issue here. Smul is just hitting big, ironically.
He's hitting downwards, which is not doing anything. He kind of looks like he's trying to go for those hooks, but with his head down and also kind of swaying a little bit, it's really not helping.
Yeah, I agree. I think in this round, I'm definitely giving it to Dark, coming out cleaner in these exchanges. I think he did the better job in the adjustment round.
He's getting the better shots.
Figuring out what the fight needs. Yeah, absolutely. Right, like Smul's throwing a lot, but they're not hitting in the right spots, and he's not maximizing the effort of the damage he can get for the effort he's putting in. Tough round I think for Smul. What would you do in his place at this point? You said multiple times, right? Like try to use the jab, but he really seems like he's trying to stick with that brawler style.
If that brawler style is gonna kill him, because Dark is a smaller fighter. He's able to actually weave the punches and stuff. He needs to stop doing that and actually go for more distance. Because if he can get that distance, then what's Dark gonna do? Because there's really not much. Yeah,
exactly.
Which one's
Dark's
room
gonna
scale?
have to start like stretching to engage, and that's when he's going to get caught with those counters. But still plenty of time to work in. You have an entire round. You haven't taken a knockdown yet. This is the time to put it all on the line, and secure your win. Knockdown here could put you ahead 2 points, easily get you a draw, or even win you the night.
Also, with Dark being room scale, he can also really close the distance, take advantage of that stationary.
Yeah, that's a good thing that you haven't pointed out as much, right, is the matchup between stationary and room scale. Some fighters find it to be an advantage for stationary, some fighters find it to be an advantage for room scale. It really
depends
kind of
on how you use
your
it,
style. Exactly.
Like, if you don't have good footwork with room scale, then really what's the point? Because if you don't have good footwork, then stationary might take it, depending on how they fight.
Yeah. I think something that people don't also realize, right, is that you can still use good footwork in stationary. It gives you a little extra step, and it also keeps you on balance to follow up.
Dark is starting to eat him up a little bit. He's having to move his head and stuff.
Yeah, Dark definitely getting more and more comfortable as this fight goes on. Blocking more shots, dodging everything, starting to really use everything he's got left in the tank to secure this victory. Ooh, big shot.
Wow.
Box on.
They're really starting to get into the distance. That's where Dark dominates. That's a disadvantage for Smul. He keeps going in but he's not very good on the inside, especially with this other fighter. Well, especially with the height. Smaller fighter typically is a lot better because it's more the range.
Let's go.
Yeah, and that's why I always tell fighters, right? Like, if you're gonna fight here, or if you're really gonna fight anywhere in this game, you gotta have multiple styles, right? Like, you can't just rely on one type of technique to get you through, because you're gonna fight against someone who just counters it entirely, and you know, if you don't have something else to revert to, you're gonna be entirely out of options.
Typically, with these smaller fighters, defense is a good way to go. Actually, no. With the more power, with more power on the bigger guy, smaller is actually the offense is best for smaller fighters because it can close the distance. Ooh, they're getting tired. A lot slower.
I think so. Both fighters really just trying to be patient here at the end.
Ooh,
another
good right hand by
big
Dark.
overhand. Yeah, big overhand thrown again. He's been finding that all night. I just think Smul's guard is not tight enough. But he has been throwing a bunch of punches all night.
That's one thing.
I'm wondering,
Smul really doesn't have a high guard. He keeps eating. That's why Dark is eating out space.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner is.
let's go to the judges here. Yeah, and Judge saw what we saw. Blue corner wins it. But much closer match than I might have thought. 28-29. That means 10-9 splits all the way through. First round going to Smul, actually. And then the last two being taken by Dark as he kind of locked in. No knockdowns throughout that, but damage a pretty low.
Oh, wow.
10, 784 to 374. And then 804 to 323. Yeah, those last two rounds, Dark really locked in.
Yeah.
With that big adjustment on round 2 and round 3.
I couldn't hit shots due to the height difference, no offense. But, like, he was really good at dodging, and with the huge, like fist difference in the game, it's, like, really hard to hit shots. He was good at dodging, I give him that.
Thanks.
Yeah, Dark, how are you feeling about that that match? What do you feel like was your victory there that you did in the last 2 rounds?
I just felt like I really had to win it because, you know, I'm fighting for getting my puppy some Ringside VR merch. So that was just some motivation. Y'all get my puppy some Ringside VR merch.
We can definitely make that happen.
I'm tired.
All right, great fight.
Good match.
I shaved all my hair because I had lice.
What?
So please get
Well,
my
my
height
hair's-
right next time.
My in-game character is relatively bald.
I see.
So, Dark, how'd you feel that match?
In the first round, he was like really quick, so I just kind of had to adapt to him. But in the second round, I got warm, so like I was just like, "Come on, man, let's brawl."
Let's brawl, man.
Let's brawl, man. And he told me he was gonna hit me, and I took offense to that. So when he hit me in the first round, it just kind of charged me up, and that's what made me lock in. So
Part of my style is I usually like to fight kind of in, but I can also, if it's like, I can also like copy other people's styles.
I just thought that like when you were probing and you had the distance, I could just see how you were trying to line up that right hand, so I kept feinting that I was gonna do my right hand and like lean into yours, and you would throw it, then I would counter off of your counter, basically.
It was
Good
a good
fight
counter.
IQ.
That's really good.
Thanks.
Anyway,
Yeah, good job to
GGs,
both
guys.
of you.
GG's, yeah.
Yeah,
GG, bro.
we're gonna get into our next fight soon.
All right. We back at it up here, man. Thank you guys for jumping in for another explosive fight. Solly, you can go ahead and get the folks in on the back end while I address the chat real quick. So, big fight, Smul and Dark. You know, Dark as well, another great performance. Dark, known as the Clinch Gremlin, aka the Clinch Monster. This time, you know, doing what he does. You know, fighting for his puppy. Dark, you know, holla at me, bro. You know what I'm saying? If we can get a screenshot of your little guy with some RIngsideVR merch, I'll be happy to help make that happen.